Merry Christmas, everybody. Ugh. Kind of ironic that I'm saying that because when I think about Christmas this year, I haven't really been spending a ton of time celebrating it. Like earlier, I was asked if I wanted to see that movie, The Santa Claus, and I'm like, hell no. Don't care. Anyways, how's the holidays going for everyone else? Anything interesting? Anything fun? Oh, yeah, thanks, Roy. Good to hear from you. I'll send the link out in case anybody wants to hop in and join. So all I've been up to lately is I've just been writing a lot of damn stories about the Breakwater Brigade. I've actually had to do a ton of changes to the cast and the characters. I mean, when I first started doing it, it was definitely more pulp influenced. If people have ever read Able Team or Don Pendleton's Executioner series and stuff like that. And because I've had to change the cast around, it's basically caused just a lot of radical things to happen in terms of storytelling, narration, all of the other stuff. But some of these changes were obviously positive. I mean, I don't really miss some of the characters I got rid of or some of the stuff I purged out of the stories. And then, on top of it, you got the year of 2025 ending. And I'm just going to be really blunt here and say what I feel. Oh, nice. Good to hear from that. I'm just going to say what I feel, and it's going to probably come off sounding really controversial. But when I think about this year in terms of recapping it, in terms of what happened, all I've really got to say, honestly, is this has been the year where people have before this year happened, people have really hyped up hard, that Christian nationalism would be a good thing or a positive thing. And I'll say right now that seeing what it's done in practice shows that whatever it touches just turns to pure shit. It doesn't have the Midas touch as far as anything's concerned, especially when addressing a lot of economic issues. Because it's really easy to say, if you just believe in certain abstractions, things will just magically get fixed and healed. And no, it doesn't work like that. Morals alone don't fix a society. A lot of what makes a society operate are things that are needed that, provide things like, food, shelter, water, housing, you name it. Things that address people's material concerns. And material concerns do not get addressed through just abstract things like morals and values and all that other garbage. So anyways, yeah, I see somebody's wishing me a Merry Christmas. Thank you, Angelina. So I'm just going to think about for a second, what I've been doing. Oh yeah, for sure. I agree with the whole socialism thing. I mean, capitalism, especially a laissez-faire capitalism, doesn't work. I don't know why people even bothered to defend it. There's just so much evidence these days that show that it absolutely has no ability to work, period. And then people will just attach themselves to these ANCAP neoliberal libertarian economic ideas that are built on abstractions that have no empirical evidence. And they'll say oh, well, the market will decide. How about that, folks? The market will decide everything. Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. A lot of the right wingers are becoming like the SJWs. I mean, that's not even not even crazy. Or I'll just be on camera. It's easier that way. And no, that's not implausible or crazy to even say. They are acting like SJWs, and to make it even worse, they defend pedophiles. Like straight up, they're defending that when you look into like the current Epstein documents that are going on recently. And it's ridiculous because they basically try to make all kinds of excuses, trying to like wave it away and be like, oh no, like you know, the redacted information and stuff, dude. You just don't get it, man. It's like it's like nothing's happening, bro. And it's like bull crap if nothing's happening. Fit. I mean, I've been swimming a lot. I mean, that kind of makes me a little fit. You know, like, you know, like, oh, you know. But yeah, seriously, like that's just like what's going on. Like people, it's funny too because like when the Epstein files got released, um, they didn't even know what they were doing, and people were copying and pasting the information on there, and everybody's like just trying to hide from it and be like, not everybody, obviously, people who know what they're doing and talking about don't hide from it, but I honestly hate how MAGA is just a cult. It's like a cult where people just like never question anything. They absolutely just like believe in everything they're told, and they just don't like, and it's frustrating too because a lot of it is just basically defending white collar criminals. Oh yeah, it is going to backfire. I mean, it's already backfired earlier this year when you had progressives and Democrats winning elections. And it's going to keep backfiring. And it's always going to because they have nothing to offer people. When people, I mean, all you got to do is just look at the Bible Belt and see what their policies do on an economic level. And it's crazy too because historically there were people that were conservative that never liked capitalism or free market economics. And that didn't become a thing until like around the 1950s. And even then, like that was astroturfed. It wasn't organic. It was mostly something that came from evangelical culture because even like Catholics had stuff like just like some Catholic social teaching or whatever. So obviously it's not organic. I mean, everything that's going on is fucking astroturfed. I mean, nothing just like happened. None of the stuff that we see that's happening on social media, especially on platforms like X, is organic. It's not organic in the slightest. Yeah, you're right about Mamdani. That's a good chunk of how Mamdani got himself elected because he was focusing on class related issues. And usually people don't think too much about class related issues if everybody's kind of like more closely connected economically, which is what happened to Americans after the New Deal. And that's kind of like, you know, what happens in a lot of the Scandinavian countries. Nobody ever has to think like, damn, you know, these guys are screwing us over as much as these other guys. Like nobody's thinking that. But over here in America, you know, and this is the thing about America is nothing we see at the moment is natural. It's mostly all astroturfed. Oh, hey. And since it's all astroturfed, it's basically like artificially set up and constructed that way to where nobody's like questioning it as much as they should, when it's pretty like clear as day that like, you know, some of these accounts that push certain stuff, especially on X, have like are botted or have botted followers. You have like shoot, obviously, you know, you have people that are like foreignly influenced that have like foreign backers and stuff. I mean, there's nothing really organic about like what's going on with like Tim Pool or Steven Crowder or any of these other people. But anyways, I don't really see like all this shit, you know, being like sustainable in the long run. I mean, there's going to be pushback. There's going to be backlash. There's going to be consequences, obviously. Like nothing just like that's the same kind of crap that happened during the Great Depression. Like you didn't have the Great Depression because people obviously like made the best choices. I mean, clearly that all happened because of crappy laissez-faire economics that had like obvious consequences. But anyways, like yeah, like going back to like the brigade, let's see. I actually radically redid. I mean, I did another stream where I was talking about it, and at the time I hadn't really done like a I hadn't really like done a better job of like revising, but like book one was in just constant revision, volume one was just in constant revision, and I had to make like radical changes to it. So I'll actually open up a window for that, and I'll kind of show everyone like what I had to do there. Oh yeah, for sure, midterms are going to be a bloodbath. I agree with that. So where are you, you piece of here we go. I'll share my yeah, just give me a minute. All right, here we go. So yeah, like I did some huge changes. Like I did a huge change to the cover, and one of the big changes is really the cast itself. So I'll scroll all the way down there because that's actually kind of a lot more important than talking about, you know, nothing because like nobody's ever been formally introduced to the cast. So I'll do that. So Jason wasn't originally in the cast at first because he was like that role was originally for a character named Jacques who was a hedgehog. And no, actually, not, it's far from a kid's book. I mean, the art style kind of looks like that, but what I write is not really childish, and I'll show you why. So let me find a good passage from here. So basically, like, here's an example of why this isn't no damn kid's book. So there's a scene where they get into a fight with these three guys, a hyena, a weasel. Are you kidding me? How the hell is my mic muted? Huh. Doesn't say it's muted. Let me see. All right, let's check this out. Okay. Yeah, no, it doesn't show it's muted on my end. Weird. But yeah, like the books that I write, I mean, they deal with a lot of adult topics like violence, um, white collar crime, scammers. I had this one book where a basketball player was murdered by an exploding basketball, and they had to investigate the murder, and that causes them to encounter the mafia. And the mafia ends up killing two guys that gives them an alibi and causes the case to close. There was another story that dealt with a character that was similar to Lou Pearlman, and that was fun to write because I called it Lifestyles of the Empty and Lamest. And it was hilarious because instead of Lou, I called him Jerry, and he was basically this Hyrax that was kind of pudgy looking. I could show you a picture of the guy. It was actually pretty funny. But Styles of the Empty and Lamest is just kind of like a play on lifestyles of the rich and famous, of course. And the thing about it is, Jerry, like Lou Pearlman, was basically this rich groomer who did a bunch of financial scams and Ponzi schemes. And it was funny because his man, I called him Jerry Abramson. And then he had like this attorney that was his right hand man that I called like Solomon Fleischer. And it was hilarious because the detectives in the book are basically acting like they're filming a puff piece for Jerry. And while they're filming, Solomon's got his arms crossed, like. And then Solomon tells them not to release the documentary, but it doesn't matter because the investigation pretty much indicts Jerry. And like Lou Pearlman, he ended up serving some time behind bars, most likely, which is funny because that's the thing about these white collar criminals is they're so insulated from consequences that they think they're untouchable. And in most cases, they're not untouchable. They just are lucky until time catches up with them. And that's just honestly the truth about it. There's nothing untouchable about these people when they finally get their consequences. And then there was a couple stories where I had like the detectives deal with mercenaries and they used intelligence work to reroute where the mercenaries were going. And then eventually the mercenaries end up killing their contractors. That's obviously not child friendly. But I thought that was kind of a cool way to write mercenaries. Of course, when I wrote the mercenaries, they end up talking more like contract workers and laborers that are like bitching about a labor dispute and stuff. I was thinking about doing a story that makes fun of like Kent Hovind, where I make him like a dodo bird. Because like in real life, Kent Hovind was like really guilty for doing like, let's see if I'll open up a tab for that shit. Because that's kind of funny to talk about the stuff when you think about it. Actually, you know what? Since I'm talking about since I've based all of my characters off of Luke Pearlman, I'll talk about that too. So let's open up a tab. So let's go to Kent Hovind first, you know, because it is kind of funny reading about these clowns. Because what was this jackass, you know, what did this jackass do that was a crime? Because that's the fun stuff. Because I don't really care about his dumbass abstractions of oh his politics and his conspiracy theories. Like oh my gosh, he had remarks regarding conspiracies of science, creation, equal rights, religion, and government. But anyways, here's the legal issues. This is the fun part. So on August 15th, 2002, he was arrested for assault, battery, and burglary at an incident at a CSE secretary. The charges were dropped. On September 13th of 2002, he was charged with the failure to observe county zoning regulations for Dinosaur Adventureland, a misdemeanor. On April of 2006, the buildings were closed for county officials, and the Florida Circuit Court found the owners in contempt, ordering fines of $500 for each day the buildings were used. He argued he did not need a permit due to the nature of the building, but after a 5-year court battle over the $50 building permit on June 5th, 2006, he pleaded a nolo contendere as I've never heard that phrase. It's probably just like a no contest. Yeah, it's a no contest, as he charged with 3 counts. Federal tax matters, civil tax matters. This is a fun one. Bankruptcy and renouncing citizenship. So that's funny, when they feel like they're too good to be paying their taxes, man. So, they do. So according to the IRS, he earned $50,000 a year through speaking engagements. And in 2002 alone, he sold more than 1.8 million in merchandise. On average, he made bank deposits on an excess of 1 million each year, and eventually that grew to 2 million a year. About half that income went to employees who were salaried or paid hourly wages. However, Hovind derived substantial revenue from these activities that appeared to be income to him personally. He filed Chapter 13 bankruptcy in 1996. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, he did all this shady crap. So basically, by 2006, they found that he was deficient in paying federal income taxes, totaling $520,099 to the tax court that ruled that the IRS had a valid lien on Hovind's property, and said that Hovind's defense was based on bizarre arguments, some of which constitute tax protester arguments involving excise taxes and alleged 100% voluntary nature of the income tax. With penalties, he owed $3.3 million for taxes between 1998 by 2006 by 2013. Shit. That's no good. Federal criminal tax and trial convictions. Oh, shit. 58 counts. That's never any good. Yeah, so since he got some time behind bars. Yeah, it's just dumb. Oh, federal mail fraud too. That's just so damn common with these types. They're always committing all these damn crimes and shit. Oh yeah, no, I agree. It is messed up. Let's go to our boy Lou Pearlman now, because he had some funny adventures. It's funny looking at his mugshot. So yeah, a Ponzi scheme is when people pass money around that actually doesn't generate anything. So for example, Lou Pearlman, he had he had suspicions of insurance fraud and pump and dump. It's funny because Pearlman formed Airship Enterprises, which was leased to a blimp, Jordache, before actually owning one. He used the funds from Jordache to construct a blimp, which promptly crashed. The two parties sued each other, and 7 years later, Pearlman was awarded $2.5 million in damages. On the advice of a friend, he started a new company called Airship International, taking it public to raise $3 million. He needed to purchase a blimp, falsely claiming that he had partnership with Wallenkemper. He leased the blimp to McDonald's for advertising. But see, when I wrote that story, Lifestyles of the Empty and Lamest, I replaced planes, blimps, and all that stuff with cruise ships, because there's nothing more extravagant and empty than a damn cruise ship. After he took the company public in 85, he became personally and professionally close to Jerome Rosen. Jerome. as partner at a small cap trading firm at Norbay Securities based in Bayside, Queens, and I'm frequently in trouble with regulators. Yeah, of course. And then him and Rosen had like an ugly break off where he paid commissions. It's just stupid and terrible. And then of course he got into the boy band stuff. Of course, like the book I wrote kind of mocked and made fun of like the whole boy band thing because I'm trying to think of what I wrote about in the book about boy bands, but it was kind of funny. Let's see, I'll type it up. That didn't stop him from getting more boy bands off the assembly line. They don't make them in factories, although they all look and sound the same. It's still crummy music. I don't know why people like that stuff. Listen, it's part of capitalism. They're not making music, it's a mass produced commodity, except these are exploited workers who are getting their surplus value extracted. You lost me there. She just means they were getting used and screwed over, Trish. Okay. They should do a better job of reading those contracts before signing them. They use tricky wording. Brothers, why don't Oh, that should have been there. That's a typo. Should say figures. Figures, right? Why don't they read it better? Same reason my fourth grade students were not reading college textbooks. It's not that they can read it, it's about comprehension, and most people don't know legalese. I don't. They use words that are hard to make out. That's the point. Me and Jason dealt with people like that. They talked down on us and thought we were slow. Yeah. Well, anyways, it was just kind of funny because that's how they do that with these musicians and singers. They sign them in these awful contracts. The performers obviously get screwed over in the process. And the management, they get all the money. I mean, that's obviously what Pebbles did to TLC. They had like that huge #1 hit in Waterfalls. And guess what ends up happening? They file for bankruptcy. Well, the manager gets the money and pockets it in. It's pretty screwed up. But that's also kind of why I really despise white collar crime. But that's all I can really think about. This has been a decent year. I mean, I've mostly been spinning it as an author. I It's pretty much debunked the whole thought that Christian nationalism would be a positive thing because this year has pretty much proven that it's dog shit. But anyways, I'm gonna get going. See you all later and have a happy holidays.